Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What's Trans or Gay in PA for July 22nd, 2021. We share news stories and events that impact the LGBTQ plus community in Pennsylvania. Our show is brought to you by the YouTube channel with more than 55,000 subscribers, powered by Rainbows, starring Matt Haslam, provider of LGBTQ plus education for virtual classrooms in Pennsylvania and around the world. And by Aura Jewelry by Mary Moore, maker of fine quality, reasonably priced necklaces and other items. Check out her Etsy page for details. Today's show is also brought to you by One Hope Wines. Blending traditional winemaking methods with modern techniques, each exquisite bottle becomes a catalyst for change. Our top news story today, Ciora Thomas, the founder of Sisters PGH, wants her voice to be heard. As a Black transgender woman, she said people often speak for her and treat her like she doesn't exist, even within the LGBTQ community that faces its own discrimination. She made her thoughts known by interrupting a speaking engagement with U.S. Senator Bob Casey and actor Billy Porter. This is a form of oppression that we are experiencing as well from our brothers. So it's very, very important that when this happens, that cis Black men or the LGBTQ cisgender community takes a step back to hear what we have to say, because we are bringing valid concerns, according to Thomas. The National LGBTQ Task Force released a study showing 41% of Black trans people have been homeless. 34% have household incomes less than $10,000, and nearly half of the Black trans population has attempted death by suicide. Black people in Pittsburgh are already going through a lot. Black women in Pittsburgh are already going through a lot, as we saw from the Gender Equity Commission. Now, when we think about the plight of Black trans women in Pittsburgh, we're talking about 3 times, 4 times as worse, according to Thomas. One hard question from Pittsburgh's Action News Channel 4 reporter Chandy Chapman was, what would you say to people who say they have no sympathy because it was their choice? According to Ciora, for someone who doesn't believe or want to see us, it's up to them to understand humanity and to live in a way to understand human beings beyond what they were taught. We have to unpack the harm that we are causing. Those that have never met a trans person or an LGBTQ person before in their life, that they can put a face on it. They can say, this is a person. This is a human being that lives here in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh. They are Black, they are brown, and they exist here. So that representation is extremely important. And when we get that, we get the Fairness Act. It's the fairest thing to do for the community, and we deserve that, she said. On June 15th, Governor Tom Wolf and members of the LGBTQI plus community reintroduced the Fairness Act. The bill prohibits discrimination based on sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. Ciora wants the community to be protected from violent acts. According to the Human Rights Campaign, so far this year, at least 31 transgender or non-conforming people have been fatally shot or killed by other violent means. They are not being categorized as they should be categorized, as hate crimes, Thomas said. There's no law in Pennsylvania, but the Fairness Act could help with that, Thomas said. The Pennsylvania Equality Project has a petition on their action page at paequality.com that addresses hate crimes, which are known as ethnic intimidation laws in Pennsylvania. PA Senate Bill 63, currently before the Senate Judiciary Committee, would add sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression as protected classes. In other news, a North Philadelphia man will serve 20 to 40 years in prison for the 2019 death of Tameka Washington, a transgender woman and LGBTQ advocate. Troy Bailey, age 30, was convicted of third-degree murder following a bench trial in May, and sentencing was yesterday. Washington, age 40, of North Philadelphia, was fatally shot near the 3400 block of North 11th Street on May 20th, 2019. Bailey was arrested and charged with murder days after. Authorities said he and his girlfriend showed up to the crime scene, then provided conflicting statements to homicide investigators. The death of Washington, described as an auntie to the community, left the city's LGBTQ advocates stunned and concerned amid a nationwide spate of attacks against Black transgender women. Representatives from the district attorney's offices have discussed the sentencing on Monday at the William Way LGBTQ Center in Philadelphia, alongside LGBTQ advocates and Crystal Davis, Washington's sister. Davis said she thought she'd feel relieved after the sentencing, but the pain she experiences is every day. Prosecutors said they don't believe Washington was killed because she was transgender. Still, there is definitely hate against trans women, according to Kelly Burkhart, the district attorney's office's LGBTQ+ liaison. She went on to say, "This is one of those moments right here, which is very empowering, even though unfortunately, justice will never be served truly. This doesn't just affect the life of the person who is gone, the family who is here. It affects everyone. It affects our community." The office is also prosecuting Akhenaten T. Jones, age 37, of West Philadelphia, who was arrested in February in Los Angeles and charged with killing Dominique Rem'mie Falls, a 27-year-old transgender woman who died in June 2020 of multiple stab wounds. Jones is scheduled to be arraigned next month on murder and related charges. And finally in the news, federal judges on Wednesday temporarily blocked an Arkansas law banning gender-confirming treatments for transgender youth and a West Virginia ban on trans athletes in women's sports, two major victories for LGBTQ advocates against a wave of restrictions approved by Republican legislators. The ruling in Arkansas prevents the state from enforcing the law that made it the first state to forbid doctors from providing gender-confirming hormone treatment, puberty blockers, or sex reassignment surgery to anyone under 18 years old. The law, which was to take effect July 28th, also banned doctors from referring the minors to other providers for such treatment. U.S. District Judge Jay Moody found that the plaintiffs were likely to succeed with their challenge and that allowing it to be enforced would hurt transgender youth currently receiving the treatments. Moody said, to pull this care midstream from these patients or minors would cause irreparable harm. The laws were among several restrictions on transgender people's rights that were enacted in Republican states this year. Tennessee's governor in May signed a ban on gender-confirming treatments similar to Arkansas's. West Virginia was among at least 7 states that approved restrictions on transgender athletes. Moody's ruling came the same day a federal judge issued an injunction preventing West Virginia from enforcing its transgender athletes restriction on an 11-year-old trans girl who had hoped to compete in middle school cross country. Now it's time for the rundown. The Pennsylvania Equality Project is looking for same-sex married couples who would like to participate in episodes of Pep Talks Uncut, a 30-minute, unscripted, unedited program about the LGBTQ+ community. The interviews take place via Zoom and are published on YouTube every Sunday at 1 p.m. Discrimination is the topic of a survey sponsored by the Pennsylvania Equality Project. The 3rd annual survey on discrimination in Pennsylvania is now open on their website, paequality.com, PA/survey.html and runs through October 31st. If you have news or events you would like for us to mention on our show, send story ideas to info@paequality.com. For events, please allow up to 1 week prior to the event for us to include it on the program. Thanks for watching today. If you like today's show, give us a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Tune in again tomorrow when we will, in fact, have another edition of What's Trans or Gay in PA. What's Trans or Gay in PA is a production of the Pennsylvania Equality Project, all rights reserved.